talk about Trump's winning streaks on trade, ending wars, investments in the U.S., weeding out all the woke nonsense. What do you think is so far the biggest win and what comes next?
Well, by far the biggest win is what's happening at the border. I campaigned for 2 years to every single corner of the state of Ohio, almost 2,000 miles a week, driving everywhere. Number one or number two issue is immigration, inflation. And so for President Trump, basically in 60 to 90 days, to have the border completely secure. Last month, 25,000 encounters, 0 people paroled into the country. 0,
That's amazing.
not one. It's pretty amazing. In fact, it's so successful that the mainstream media doesn't even talk about it anymore. So it's pretty remarkable. I don't think anybody could have believed it could have happened. But the challenge we have is it's a lot easier to get into the country than it is to get these criminals out of the country. And that's why we needed the big, beautiful bill to fund ICE so we can get these deportations turbocharged.
You mentioned ICE and deportations, and we have all of these crazed leftists out there just completely melting down over these deportations. Like, why are Democrats so hell-bent on protesting what the American people voted for?
They care more about criminal aliens than they care about Americans. I mean, the reality is, when you had millions of people coming to this country, what happened? Our housing prices went up, insurance prices went up, car prices went up, crime went way up, and you know what went down? Wages for American workers, job opportunities for American workers. Families were devastated during the Biden era. That's what we should be empathetic about. That's what we should be fixing. The people who broke into our country, why would we have empathy for people who broke into our nation? If somebody broke into your home, how much empathy would you have for that person?
Right, 0.
0. I mean, it's literally insane. You know, imagine your neighbor came to go and say, hey, I saw somebody broke into your house. Why haven't you fed them enough? Why haven't you housed them long enough? Why aren't you paying for their health care bills? Why did you buy them a car when you yourself are struggling to make ends meet? It's totally nuts. But look, Jamie Dimon said it well. Democrats have a lot of heart, not a lot of brains.
I don't know if you've seen this yet. I think it just came out recently, but the LA mayor is considering trying to find a way to give cash to illegals who are affected by deportations. What's your reaction to that? Especially that's where, riots were going on a few weeks ago. Like, what's your reaction to that?
She's got homeless people on the streets. She's got veterans that don't have a place to live. She's got people starving in their communities. You drive through LA, there's parts of it where there's abject poverty that should not exist in this country. Why don't we help those Americans in those situations instead of advocating for criminal aliens? This is the problem, is that these people have elected morons to run these cities and states. And it's typically concentrated in New York, Massachusetts, and California. And look, the voters got to revolt. That's the bottom line. But look, President Trump is plowing forward. Unlike Republicans of the past that have no spinal cord, he's going to get done what he promised he would do.
Tell us about your resolution backing Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize and why you think he deserves it.
So if we shift the world situation, look, thanks to Biden, we had a massively bloody war in Eastern Europe. We had a disaster in the Middle East. We had China nipping at Taiwan. We had a wide open border. We had problems all over Africa. What's happened since President Trump took office? Prevented a nuclear war between Pakistan and India, ended the conflict between Rwanda and Congo, ended any talk of China talking about taking over Taiwan. And then you look at what happened in the Middle East, where Iran is now completely on its knees again. It was in the first Trump administration. Biden lifted them back up, gave them billions of dollars. This is the peace president, unlike anything we've ever seen. Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize for winning an election.
Right.
President Trump, if he doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, it has 0 credibility. They should shut it down.
So far in the Senate, what have you seen as the biggest hurdle?
The biggest hurdle is getting Republicans to have a backbone, understanding that all of us, every single Republican, campaigns on the same set of issues. In other words, what President Trump is doing shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, whether it's tariff, securing the border, peace and stability, fiscal restraint. Campaign on all those things. So I have a hard time with some of my colleagues that also campaign on those things, but when push comes to shove, they pay attention to lobbyists and special interest groups.
Last thing I'll ask you is, so the U.S. government posted a $27 billion budget surplus for the month of June, the first budget surplus, I think, in 20 years. What's your reaction to that?
The experts are so wrong all the time, aren't they? It's pretty amazing. If you had read the Wall Street Journal back in April, we should be in the Great Depression right now.
Right.
So the government's collecting record revenue, inflation is down, but I'll say one thing, that surplus could have been twice as much if there wasn't for one guy named Jerome Powell. who is keeping rates artificially high to undermine President Trump's agenda. He needs to be fired.